All right, so we fabricated the chicken down. We're just going to roast this. This is going to be a straight up roast, not really, again, nothing to it, just trying to get that crispiness, that flavor and so on. So we have a saute pan here. Certainly you can use a roasting rack. We're going to go with this just because of what we're using. Certainly you can use a roasting rack. So we're going to season the chicken, right? Just a little salt and a little pepper. Again, we want to watch for cross-contamination, so I'm going to use one hand to flip the chicken around and the other one to season. Little salt, little pepper, right? On both sides, make sure that everything is nice and seasoned all the way. It is going to take just a little bit more than you think, that you will think or that you will imagine, just because it's going to absorb into the flesh, and so you want to put just a little bit more. You certainly want to be, you don't want to be shy when you're seasoning. So we have that now. Super simple, right? We will normally do a roasting rack again, and what that will do is that will help the chicken kind of stay up so that it roasts all the way around, right? We're gonna use mirepoix instead of a roasting rack, right? We call these the beginning of what we call a matignon, right? So we have mirepoix here, so just onions, we have some celery, we have some carrots. We do add a little bit of garlic in here. You can certainly add a little bit of bay leaves in here as well. So we're just gonna put this right into the pan. We're kind of going to make like a little bed with it, right? You can certainly use these as the vegetable for your plate as well. Once they get roasted, they'll be nice and flavorful and so on. We're gonna put our chicken right over it. But before we do that, right, we're gonna take a little bit of oil and we're just going to lightly lightly brush that oil around. That will again help with a little bit of flavor development, right? You can certainly use butter in this, so melted butter as well will be fine. But just a little bit, that will help with the crispiness of it and so on. So we have that. We'll put it here. And then we are going to also add just some herbs, some roasting herbs. We have parsley, we have thyme, and then we have some rosemary in here as well. So I'm gonna put this in here, right? Put the herbs, just to spread them around a little bit. These will help, all these flavors will kind of marry into it as it roasts, as it cooks. Will help create the vegetables, will create the steam, and as they cook, and that will help absorb into the chicken a little bit. But that's it. We're gonna pop this into the oven. We'll throw this in the oven. 375. You can go maybe all the way up to about 400 degrees on your oven, and they will cook for take about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe a little less. They will cook at different rates, so that's something you want to be careful on. Obviously, like we talk about this here, the amount of product and surface area you have on your breast is way higher than what you have on the dark pieces of meat. So they'll take a little longer. So what I like to do personally is I like to put this in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then at that point I temp them to see how each piece is cooking, and then every few minutes after that, say every 5 minutes or so, I go back and temp them again. As each of the pieces are done, I remove them out of the oven. So what happens is, that way the dark meat is not overcooked or undercooked, and neither is the chicken and so on compared to the other. So you want to cook these to 162 or 163 degrees. Now notice that I say 162, 163. Chicken, you want to carry it all the way to 165. But again, what you want to do is you want to bring it up to 162, and then that will, by the time you get it out of the oven, it will carry over cooking, right? So the temperature will still increase even though it's not in the oven anymore. But it will carry over, and by the time you serve it, you let it sit there for about 10 minutes. By the time you serve it, it'll be 165, and so it won't be overcooked. If you go all the way to 165, by the time you let it rest and serve it, you start to overcook a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. Again, in the oven, super simple. And then we'll come back and finish up the vegetable and finish up the dish. Chicken out of the oven. We roasted it again, brought it up to 163. We pull it out. We let it rest at room temperature for about 10 minutes. until it got to 165. And again, what resting will do is it will allow for carryover cooking, so it will continue to cook for a couple of minutes after you take it out of the heat. But then what it also do is it will let all those natural juices in the protein kind of get back around and kind of spread around again, so that when you cut it, it doesn't just bleed all over the place. So when you cut it, you want a nice dry clean cutting board instead of the juices of the chicken being and all that kind of. That's what's going to make it really moist and really flavorful, because you let it all that rest. So we let it rest. We talked about serving 4 portions, right? So we're gonna we have our one breast right here. We're gonna cut this into half. Just take our knife right down the middle, at a little bit of an angle, right? So we will do that for both, and this one doesn't want to cooperate, but here we go. We cut the white pieces of meat in half. We're gonna go ahead and serve them. We are going to use the same vegetables that we use from when we roast them, right? You got all that flavor, right? You got all that flavor in there. All we did is we took the herbs out, obviously because they get a little dry out and so on. But as you can probably see, some of those leaves actually fell right into the vegetables that they were roasting. So we're just gonna serve it just like that. Again, very simple. And then we're gonna do a piece of boneless chicken breast with a piece of the dark meat, right? So nothing to it, not a lot of work, not a lot of equipment or necessary and stuff. So just a fun, simple recipe, right? The next dish was a boneless thigh with a bone-in breast. The next one is going to be a bone-in piece of dark meat here with a boneless chicken breast. And then we are going to do a bone-in chicken breast here with a boneless thigh. So you, as you can see, 4 pieces or 4 portions out of one chicken, and you have an equal amount of protein by weight, if you will, but also you have a little bit of both dark meat and white meat with just one simple chicken. So I hope you enjoy the recipe. We will see you next time. Thank you.